Fire falls on Minas Tirith like red rain. The White City is no longer white, but striped in molten orange, its towers shedding stone as if they were wax. Men do not hear the Nazgul scream, for the roar above drowns all other sound, a sound like a mountain tearing itself in half, like a furnace breathing. Wings blot out the sun. A single golden eye turns toward the citadel, and the shadow of it passes over the white tree like an omen of ending. If this kind of alternate Middle-earth pulls you in, you might want to stay with this channel. Tap like, subscribe if you wish, and tell me in the comments which realm you would stand for when dragons and dark lords make their move. The shadow that burns across Minas Tirith begins, as such shadows often do, with a single choice made far away, by one who believes himself safe. Long before the White City burns, the lonely mountain shudders. Deep within Erebor, treasure sleeps in slow gleaming hills. Gold lies in drifts like fallen leaves. Jewels wink in the darkness like trapped stars. The smell is metal and cold stone and the faint bitter tang of old smoke that never quite faded. Smaug dreams. In his dream, the world is as it has been for decades, silent, cowed, his. The mountain is a hollow heart that beats only for him. No dwarves, no songs, no clatter of hammers, only the slow rasp of his own breath over fangs like scythes. Then, in the dream, something pricks him. A fly, no more, a black-feathered arrow. In the waking world, on the ruined streets of Laketown, Bard the bowman stands ankle-deep in freezing water and ash. His hands are numb. His children cling to the broken bell tower behind him, their faces white, their eyes wide with the kind of terror that makes them older in an instant. The black arrow is heavy in his hand, heavier than memory, heavier than his father's shame. He feels every scratch on its shaft, every dent in its head. He hears his son's voice, thin and cracked by cold. Father, the thrush, it speaks, the hollow in the left breast, the scale is missing. Above them, Smaug wheels in fury over burning roofs, scarlet wings beating the air into whirling cinders. The dragon's laughter rolls like thunder. You think to fight me, bowman? You think to defy the king under the mountain? Bard draws. The bow creaks, wood protesting. His shoulders burn. His breath is a white ghost in the air. He aims for the place the thrush has told him, the hollow where a single scale is gone. Smaug turns. In the dream, the arrow flies true. In the tale that was, it splits the air, finds the gap, buries itself in the dragon's heart. Fire becomes falling stone, and the dragon that unmade a kingdom dies over a lake lit by his own ruin. But dreams are fragile things, and so is aim. The bell tower shifts under Bard's feet. A charred beam gives way below, jolting him. His numb fingers twitch. The bow jerks a hair's breadth. The black arrow leaps from the string, a streak of darkness against flame. It misses the hollow by the width of a thumbnail. It strikes a scale, glances, and screams away into the dark. For a heartbeat, there is silence. Smaug feels the impact like a hammer on armor. He feels no pain, only the insult, the slight, the proof that something dared to touch him. The dream shatters. He is awake, and he is not dying. His head snaps toward the tower. His pupils contract to slits. There, on the swaying height, a man stands with an empty bow, his face lifted, his eyes still tracking the flight of the arrow that should have killed a dragon. Smaug understands. The air itself seems to freeze as dragon and man look upon one another. Bard feels the weight of that gaze like a hand closing around his throat. Smaug inhales. The world turns gold. The tower vanishes in a column of white-hot flame. Stone explodes. Wood becomes dust. Bard has time to shove his son backward, to turn his body, to think of his dead wife and the promises he will now break. Then there is nothing but fire. The dragon does not stop with the tower. Smaug descends on Laketown in earnest, not as a cat toying with mice, but as a storm that has decided to end a coastline. Fire pours in sheets that lift whole streets into the sky. Water hisses, boils, and throws up plumes of steam that glow orange from within. Men and women fling themselves from docks into a lake that is suddenly a cauldron. Smaug feels them boil. He takes his time. He burns until there's nothing left that moves. He burns until the lake is strewn with blackened beams and bodies, until the smell of roasted flesh lies heavy as fog. He burns until his rage begins to cool, and only then does he rise again, trailing smoke like a cloak. Behind him, the ruins of Esgaroth hiss and crackle. The cries have ceased. Only the pops of cooling timber and the distant hiss of water on hot stone remain. Smaug circles once, twice, and laughs. So ends the courage of men. He turns his head toward the north, toward the cold, toward the mountain that is his hoard and his heart. But something else turns his gaze, as if a hand, unseen, has taken his chin and drawn it eastward. Far beyond the desolation of Smaug, beyond the greenwood, beyond the brown plains of Rovagnon, a darkness stirs. It is not the darkness of night nor of storm. It is the darkness of will. In Dol Guldur, on a high black balcony that looks out over the sickly forest, a figure wrapped in shadow pauses. The necromancer feels the arrow glance from scale. He tastes the change in the air like iron on the tongue. In another tale, he would sense the death of a dragon, the fall of a piece on the board. He would feel the sudden vacuum of power in the north, the opportunity, the danger. Here, he feels survival. He feels fury. He feels hunger. The shadow stirs, and a voice that is no longer hiding behind the mask of a lesser name whispers a single word. Good. In Erebor, Thorin Oakenshield stands on the stone ledge that looks out over the great halls, his face pale beneath the grime, his eyes fever bright. He has heard the dragon's roars. He has felt the mountain tremble as Smaug tore through the front gate as he burst into the night. He has felt the dragon's absence like a weight lifted, a breath drawn. He has heard, faint and far, the screams from the lake. Now the echoes have faded. He waits for silence to mean safety. Bilbo Baggins stands beside him, clutching the ring in his pocket, the cold metal pressing into his palm like a secret that grows heavier with every heartbeat. His mind is full of fire and water, of Bard's grim face, of the thrush's frantic wings. He does not know that Bard is dead. He does not know that Lake Town is gone. He only knows that a dragon flew out and has not yet returned. Thorin's fingers flex on the hilt of Orcrist. His breath fogs the air. The gold below lies silent, promising everything. Perhaps, Bilbo says, his voice small in the vastness, he has gone off to find easier prey. Thorin does not answer. In the dark above them, unseen, a crack in the stone ceiling shifts. Dust falls like gray snow. Smaug is coming home. He does not return as a beast content, sated by easy slaughter. He returns as a king whose vassals dared to rise, as a god whose worshippers tried to strike him down. He lands on the mountainside with enough force to send avalanches screaming down the slopes. His claws bite into stone. His breath steams in the cold air, thick with the stench of burned wood and flesh. He stares at the broken front gate of Erebor. The dwarves have been here. The thief has been here. His hoard has been touched. He feels it as a man might feel a hand in his pocket. Smaug does not roar this time. He slides forward, silent as a shadow, his body flowing into the mountain's wound. The darkness swallows him. Inside, the air is heavy with the smell of gold and old smoke. The sound of his own movements echoes, a deep, grinding whisper. He passes through corridors he knows as a wolf knows its den. He follows the faint foreign scent of dwarf and hobbit, of sweat and fear and stubborn determination. In the great hall, Thorin hears the shift in the air. He hears the scrape of scale on stone. He hears death coming. For a single heartbeat, he thinks of retreat, of flight into the deeper tunnels, of sealing doors and trusting in stone. Then, his eyes fall on the gold. On the Arkenstone, gleaming like a captured star atop its mound. He has not yet seen it in his hand. Bilbo has not yet confessed his theft. The stone is still there, still untouched by his fingers, but it pulls at him all the same. Thorin's jaw tightens. He will not abandon it. He will not abandon his kingdom again. "Company," he says, voice low but steady, "to me." The dwarves gather, axes and swords and broken shields clutch tight. Their faces are pale, but their eyes are fierce. This is their home. They will die in it if they must. Bilbo swallows hard. His hand tightens around the ring. He thinks of slipping it on, of vanishing, of running. He thinks of the Shire, of green hills and second breakfasts. He stays. Smaug emerges from the dark like a ship from fog, vast and terrible. His eyes burn with inner light. Gold dust clings to his scales, making him seem carved from treasure. He regards the tiny figures before him with something like amusement. "So," he purrs, voice echoing from the pillars, "the thieves have gathered to greet their host." Thorin steps forward, Orcrist in hand. "We are no thieves," he says. "We are the rightful heirs of this kingdom. You are the usurper, Smaug the Golden." Smaug laughs and the sound shakes loose pebbles from the ceiling. "Rightful? What is right, little dwarf? What you can hold or what you can claim? I hold this mountain. I hold this gold. I hold your lives in my claws." He leans closer, his breath a furnace wind. "And you hold nothing." In another tale, Smaug would be arrogant enough to toy with them, to chase them along corridors, to smash statues and pillars until his own fury brought the roof down upon him. Here, he has already been made a fool once this night. He has felt an arrow on his breast. He has smelled his own near death. He's not inclined to play. Smaug inhales. The dwarves brace. Bilbo's hand closes around the ring. Fire roars forth, white and gold, a river of annihilation. Stone blackens, metal runs. The first rank of dwarves vanishes in a flash, their war cries cut short. Thorin throws himself behind a fallen column, heat searing his back even through mail and leather. His beard singes, his eyes water. Bilbo, heart pounding, slips the ring onto his finger and dives behind a heap of broken treasure. The world goes strange and thin. Sound becomes distant. The dragon's voice is a thunder heard through walls. Smaug sweeps his head from side to side, methodical now, no longer the wild, flailing beast of a cornered animal. He burns the hall in careful arcs, driving the survivors before him, herding them like cattle. He is not merely killing, he is making a point. He's carving into the stone of their last sight this truth, that he is inevitable. Thorin scrambles, half blind, half deaf, toward the only refuge he can see, the narrow tunnel that leads up toward the Ravenhill gate. He drags Philly by the arm, feels Kylie at his back. He does not look to see who else runs beside him. Names can be counted later, if there is a later. Behind them, Dwalin shouts a curse and turns, axe raised, to face the dragon. He is too slow. Fire takes him. His shadow burns itself into the stone. Bilbo, invisible, stumbles after them, his lungs burning from the heat that seems to seep even into the world behind the ring's veil. He hears Smaug's laughter like a distant storm. He does not see Bombur fall or Bofur. He does not see Ori vanish in a wash of white. He only knows that when they burst into the cold night air on the high ledge, there are fewer of them than there were. They do not stop to count. Behind them, Smaug's fire licks at the tunnel mouth, but the dragon does not follow into the narrow way. He knows the mountain. He knows where this tunnel leads. He knows there is nowhere to run. He will take his time. He withdraws, letting the hall cool, letting the smoke thicken. He coils atop his gold once more, feeling the faint tremors of dwarven feet above like the scurrying of mice in the rafters. He has burned their town. He has broken their hall. He could kill them now, hunt them through the stone. Instead, something in the east tugs at him again. A whisper, not of words, but of promises. Power, dominion, vengeance beyond the scale of a single mountain and a single lake. Smaug closes his eyes. He remembers a different time. He remembers a voice long ago in the far north when he was young and the world was still full of dragons. A voice that spoke of order and strength, of a world remade under a single will. A voice that promised that fire would never go hungry. He had turned away then, drunk on his own rising power, certain that he needed no master. Now he has felt an arrow on his breast. He has seen men dare his wrath. He has seen dwarves creep into his lair. The world has grown bold. Perhaps it is time to remind it of fear. Above, on the ledge, Thorin leans against the cold stone, chest heaving. The survivors of his company huddle around him: Fili, Kili, Balin, Gloin, Oin, Nori. 7 where there should be 13. The night is bitter. The wind knifes through their burned clothing. Snowflakes swirl, hissing as they touch hair still hot from dragon fire. Below, the desolation of Smaug stretches out, a wasteland of ash and broken stone. Beyond it, where lights should gleam on the surface of the lake, there is only darkness and a faint, sullen glow. "Lake Town," Balin whispers, voice breaking. "By Durin." "What has he done?" Thorin stares. He sees no boats, no flicker of torches, only a smear of smoke lying low over black water. "Bard," Bilbo says softly, pulling the ring from his finger, his voice shaking. "The people." Thorin's jaw clenches. He feels grief. He feels guilt. He feels something colder, harder, rising beneath those. Opportunity. With Lake Town gone, with Esgaroth burned, who will come to claim a share of Erebor's gold? Who will raise an army to demand recompense? No one. The dragon has destroyed his own only bargaining chip. If Thorin can somehow kill him, if, far away in Dol Guldur, the shadow that is Sauron gathers itself, drawing in its scattered strength. The White Council presses at its borders, but the necromancer has already begun to shed that skin. His power grows, coiling, condensing. He has seen the fall of Angmar. He has seen the death of dragons in the cold north, their bones whitening on desolate plains. He has watched the great worms of the east turn inward, fighting among themselves. He has always regretted that. Dragons are useful. They are engines of fear. They are symbols of power that even the proudest elf or dwarf cannot ignore. They are gluttonous, greedy, and cruel, but they understand hierarchy. He had whispered to Smaug once, when the dragon was young and the world was aflame with his kind. He had offered alliance. Smaug had refused. Now Smaug has been reminded that he is not invulnerable. Sauron stretches out his will, thin and cold as a knife. In the dark of Erebor, Smaug opens his eyes. He feels it. A familiar touch, like the memory of a hand on his scales. For a moment, pride rises. He is Smaug the Golden. He bows to no one, but the taste of the arrow is still on his tongue. The sight of the burned town still pleases him, but it does not erase the knowledge that a single man with a single arrow almost ended him. He listens. "Smaug," the voice whispers, not in his ears, but in the place behind thought. "Greatest of the fire drakes of the north," Smaug's lip curls. "You are bold to speak that name," he replies, not aloud but in the same silent tongue. "I remember you, Shadow. You were smaller then. The darkness that is Sauron's mind smiles without lips. And you were hungrier. The world has grown thin since. Fewer kingdoms to plunder, fewer treasures worth the taking." Smaug's gaze drifts over his hoard. "I have enough." "Do you?" the voice asks. "You nearly had none. A single arrow, and all of this would have passed to thieves and carrion crows." Smaug's claws flex, sending a cascade of coins clinking down the mound. "I killed the archer." "Yes," the voice says, "you killed the symptom, not the sickness." Smaug stills. "The sickness?" he asks, though he knows. He has felt it gnawing at the edges of his pride. "Defiance," Sauron answers. "The notion in the hearts of the small that they may stand against the great. The idea that men and dwarves and elves may shape the world without fear of fire." Smaug's breath deepens. Smoke curls from his nostrils. "I have burned their town," he says. "They will fear." "For a time," the voice concedes, "until another archer stands, until another band of dwarves or some ragged fellowship of hobbits and wizards creeps into your lair with some new trick. Alone, you are a storm. Glorious, terrible, but passing. With me." The dark presence expands, and for a moment Smaug sees, not with his own eyes, but with another's. He sees armies of orcs like black rivers, their banners a sea of red eyes. He sees trolls smashing down walls, wargs running like wolves of night. He sees men in black armor, their faces hard, their wills bent. He sees elves falling, their bright blood staining white stone. He sees dwarves crushed beneath the feet of monsters. Above it all, he sees himself. Wings spread over Pelennor fields, fire pouring from his jaws onto white walls, ships burning on the Anduin, a city of men screaming as he circles like a hawk over. A field of mice. He sees the white tree blackened. He sees the sea of ruin boiling. He sees the great forests of the west turn to charcoal. He sees, in short, a world that is not merely plundered, a world that kneels. "You would make me your hound," Smaug says, but there is no real scorn in it. Sauron does not deny it. "I would make you my right hand," he answers, "my scourge, my herald. You would burn at my command, yes, but you would burn everything. and none would dare raise an arrow against you again, for they would know that to defy you is to defy me." Smaug considers. He has always despised being used, yet he has also always enjoyed being feared. He remembers the look in Bard's eyes, not awe, not worship, defiance. He remembers the dwarves standing in his hall, calling him usurper. Perhaps it is time for the world to remember what a dragon is. "How would this be done?" he asks. "You are far, I am here. The world lies between." "Not for long," Sauron replies. "The White Council moves against me. They think to drive me from Dol Guldur. Let them. I go now to Mordor, to my true seat. From there, my power will grow. My armies will march. When the time comes, I will call, and you will come." Smaug snorts. "I am no Nazgul to be summoned like a dog." "You are not bound by ring or spell," Sauron agrees. "You will come because it will please you, because you will be hungry, because there is more gold in Minas Tirith alone than in all the petty hordes of the north." Smaug's eyes narrow. Gold. He has burned men and dwarves for the joy of it, for the assertion of his supremacy. But he has also always loved treasure. The thought of a city of white stone, its vaults full of ancient coins, its halls hung with tapestries and silver lamps, stirs something deep. "The men of Gondor are proud," Sauron continues softly. "They will not kneel easily. They will gather their strength. They will stand upon their walls and shout their defiance to the last. Think how sweet their screams will sound when you break them." Smaug's tail thumps the gold, sending waves of coins rippling. He thinks of staying, of killing the remaining dwarves, sealing the mountain, sleeping again atop his hoard until the world forgets him and some new band of heroes comes with a new trick. He thinks of going, of flying south and east, of seeing lands he has only heard of in the mutterings of treasure, of burning cities whose names he does not yet know. He thinks of being more than a story told by grizzled lakemen to frighten their children. He thinks of being legend. "I will not be commanded," he says. "You will be offered," Sauron replies. "When my eye is full upon the west, when the world trembles, I will send word. If you come, there will be gold and fire beyond your imagining. If you do not, then you may keep your mountain, until the sickness of defiance finds you again." The presence recedes, not entirely, but enough that Smaug feels the emptiness of the hall once more. The gold lies silent. The air is cold. Above, faintly, he hears the scrape of dwarven feet. He could end them now. He could climb, burn, crush, and leave their corpses on the snow as a warning to any who dream of reclaiming Erebor. He does not. Instead, he laughs, a deep rolling sound that makes the gold vibrate. "Keep your stone," he murmurs to the empty air, thinking of Thorin and his Arkenstone, though he does not know its name. "Keep your halls. Keep your little kingdom of ash. The world is larger than this mountain." He spreads his wings. The gold stirs in a glittering storm as he launches himself upward through the great hall, through the broken gate, into the pale light of dawn. On the ledge, Thorin and the remnants of his company throw themselves flat as a hurricane of wind and heat slams into them. Smaug erupts from the mountain in a roar that seems to tear the sky. For a moment, the dragon hangs there, outlined against the cold sun, smoke trailing from his jaws. Thorin lifts his head, eyes blazing with hatred. "Curse you," he whispers. "Curse you and all your kind." Smaug turns his head, golden eye passing over the ledge. He sees the dwarves tiny as insects. He sees the hobbit clutching at the rock, his hair whipped by the wind. He does not stoop. He does not burn. He laughs. "Live, little worms," he calls down, his voice booming over the desolation. "Live and remember. Tell the world that Smaug lives. Let them tremble." Then he beats his wings and soars south, leaving a mountain full of gold, a handful of broken dwarves, and a story that will spread faster than any fire. In Dale, among the charred ruins, a boy named Bane, son of Bard, crawls from under a collapsed beam. His hair is singed, his face is streaked with soot and tears. He does not yet know that his father died in fire. He looks up and sees a dragon flying away, not falling. His heart fills, not with relief, but with a cold, enduring hatred. He will remember. In the greenwood, Legolas stands upon a high flet, watching the distant sky. He sees a speck of red and gold move south, a streak of color against the pale blue. He feels unease coil in his gut. Dragons do not leave hordes, not without reason. He turns and descends, seeking his father. In Imladris, Elrond half-elven pauses in his reading as a shiver runs through the air. He cannot yet name it, but he feels a thread in the great tapestry of the world twist. In the Shire, Frodo Baggins plays in the sun, ignorant of dragons and dark lords. The ring lies in Bag End, in Bilbo's keeping, heavy and patient. In Dol Guldur, Sauron withdraws his presence, his focus turning south. The White Council comes. Let them drive him from this shell. His true strength lies in Mordor, in Barad-dûr, in the great eye that will soon blaze. Now he has a dragon, or the promise of one. The years pass. The battle of the 5 armies never comes. There is no slain Smaug to draw the greedy and the proud to Erebor. There is no bard to rally men and elves and dwarves to a field of snow and blood. There is only a broken lake town, a shattered dale, and a dragon that did not die. Thorin Oakenshield and his company, reduced and scarred, reclaim Erebor nonetheless. They move carefully, nervously, always listening for the beat of wings. They find their dead, or what is left of them, in the blackened hall and bury them in stone. They find the Arkenstone, gleaming amid the scorched gold. Thorin takes it in his hands. The dragon sickness comes upon him like a tide. Without the shock of battle, without the humbling sight of armies at his gate, there is nothing to check it. There is only the memory of Smaug's laugh, the knowledge that the dragon chose to spare them, to leave them alive as witnesses to his power. Thorin's pride twists around that knowledge like a vine around a stone. He will rebuild, he will arm, he will make Erebor a fortress such that no dragon, no dark lord, no man will ever threaten it again. He will hoard not only gold, but grudges. To the south, in Gondor, Denethor, son of Icthelion, rises through the ranks of the steward's household. He is sharp, proud, and already inclined to see threats in every shadow. He hears eventually of Lake Town's destruction. The tale comes in scraps, carried by wandering traders and half-starved refugees who speak of a dragon that did not die, of a mountain that still smokes, of a king under the mountain who is more dragon than dwarf. Denethor files the knowledge away. A dragon in the north, a dark lord in the east, Gondor between them. He sleeps less easily. In Mordor, Barad-dûr rises again, stone upon black stone, under a sky that never fully brightens. The Nazgûl ride. Orcs breed in the deep pits. The eye opens. Sauron's attention stretches across Middle-earth, seeking, weighing, planning. He feels the ring, faint and far in the west. He feels the dragon, coiled in the north, his mind a furnace banked but not extinguished. He does not reach for Smaug yet. He has other pieces to set. Saruman the White, seated in Orthanc, watches the same board. He hears of Smaug's survival from Radagast, who hears it from birds, who heard it from a thrush that once sat on a rooftop in Esgaroth and watched fire fall. Saruman's eyes narrow. A dragon. He had dismissed Smaug as a fading threat, a relic of an older age. Now the drake moves again. Now the Dark Lord may have a fire greater than any balefire Saruman can conjure in his pits. Jealousy stirs. So does opportunity. If Sauron seeks to use Smaug, perhaps Saruman can interpose himself. Perhaps he can offer the dragon something richer than servitude. Perhaps he can turn Sauron's own weapon. In Erebor, Bilbo Baggins stays longer than he did in the other tale. There is no urgent need to divide treasure among claimants, no bard to mediate, no elven king to demand recompense. There is only Thorin's growing obsession. Bilbo watches his friend change. He sees the way Thorin's hand never leaves the Arkenstone, the way his eyes linger on every coin that leaves the mountain to pay for food and tools and men. He hears the hardness in his voice when he speaks of the men of the lake, of their weakness, their failure to kill the dragon, their lack of aid. Bilbo leaves in the end, but it is not with a chest of gold and the blessing of a king who has learned humility. He leaves under a cloud of anger, Thorin's harsh words following him down the valley. "You go back to your shire, burglar," Thorin says, the Arkenstone gleaming at his throat. "You go back to your books and your pipes. Leave the matters of kings and dragons to those who understand them." Bilbo's heart breaks a little. He goes home anyway. He takes the ring with him. Time flows on. Sauron moves openly now. The shadow lengthens from Mordor. The Nazgul ride to reclaim the Nine Rings' dominions. The Black Gate opens. In the north, the lands around Erebor slowly recover. Men from the scattered survivors of Lake Town build a new town on the shore. Smaller, humbler, their eyes always turned toward the mountain. Bane grows into a hard young man, his jaw set, his father's bow hanging on the wall above his hearth, the black arrow's absence like a missing tooth. He teaches his children to shoot. He tells them of a dragon that laughed as it flew away. In Dale, the ruins remain. Thorin has no interest in rebuilding a city of men. His focus is inward, on walls and gates and forges. The dwarves of Erebor dig deeper, build thicker doors, craft ballistae, and great engines of war that point not outward at orcs or men, but upward toward the sky. They are a kingdom under siege by a threat that is not yet at their gate. In Mirkwood, Thranduil watches the dark grow on his borders. He remembers the days before Smaug, when the north had many small kingdoms, when men and elves and dwarves traded and feasted. He remembers the dragons coming. He has not forgotten that Smaug lives. He sends more patrols to the south. He sharpens his swords. He speaks with Gandalf when the gray pilgrim passes through, and they look east and say little. Gandalf himself is troubled. He had counted, in some quiet part of his mind, on the death of Smaug as a bulwark against Sauron. A dragon removed from the board, a horde dispersed, a dwarf kingdom restored that might stand as a bastion in the north. Instead, he has a dragon alive, a dwarf king half mad, and a dark lord rising. He visits Erebor once and stands before Thorin in the rebuilt throne hall. The gold gleams. The Arkenstone blazes at Thorin's breast. "Smaug will not sleep forever," Gandalf says. Thorin's eyes are cold. "Then let him come," he answers. "He will find a different mountain than the one he left. We are not the frightened exiles he mocked. We are armed. We are ready." Gandalf looks at the great ballistae, at the thickened walls, at the ranks of dwarves drilling in the courtyard. He does not say what he thinks, that all these preparations are a kind of worship, that Thorin has made Smaug the measure of his worth, that he has allowed the dragon to live in his mind rent-free. "Be wary," the wizard says instead. "Dragons are not the only fire in the world." He leaves, more troubled than before. In Mordor, the eye turns north. Sauron has given Smaug time to stew in his pride, time to feel the slow encroachment of defiance again, as men rebuild on the lake, as dwarves raise banners on the mountain, as elves patrol the forest. Time for hunger to return. Now, the Dark Lord judges, the dragon will be ready. He sends his thought like a spear across leagues, piercing cloud and stone. Smaug lies coiled in a chamber deep within Erebor, a place he carved for himself in the early days when he first took the mountain. The dwarves have not found it. It is a hollow full of gold and gems, a secret heart within the heart. He has slept, but not deeply. Dreams of fire and cities and screaming have troubled his rest. When the voice comes again, it is like the flare of a torch in a dark room. "Smaug." The dragon opens his eyes. He has grown restless. The gold no longer soothes as it once did. The hoard is smaller now, chipped away by dwarven necessity, though Thorin hoards as fiercely as any dragon. The sound of hammers and drills echoes through the stone, a constant reminder that his mountain is not wholly his. He is tired of sharing. "It is time," Sauron says. Smaug stretches, his spine cracking like thunder. "Time for what?" he asks, though he knows. "Time to feed," the Dark Lord answers. "Gondor gathers its strength. Rohan sharpens its spears. The men of the West still think they can stand against me. They build their walls and polish their banners and sing their songs of Numenor. Show them what those songs are worth." Smaug's tongue flicks over his teeth. "And what of the North?" he asks. "What of the dwarves who burrow in my bed? What of the men who build on my shore? Should I not finish what I began?" "Later," Sauron says. "The north is a backwater. Gondor's the key. Break Minas Tirith, and the world falls open. The dwarves will scuttle in their holes no matter who rules the land above. The men of the lake will kneel to whomever holds their purse strings." Smaug considers. He has dreamed of burning the new lake town, of tearing down the banners that bear Bane's sigil, of crushing Thorin's fortress under his claws. But he has also dreamed of white walls, of a tower like a spike of bone, of a king who dares call himself steward as if he is master of something more than a crumbling inheritance. Minas Tirith, he says, savoring the unfamiliar syllables. White City. It will be red when you are done, Sauron promises. Smaug laughs. Very well, Shadow, he says. I will come, not for you, for the Aesai, joy of it. For the gold. For the fear, Sauron adds. Smaug does not deny it. He uncoils, the mountain trembles. In the halls of Erebor, dwarves look up from their work as dust sifts from the ceiling. In the throne room, Thorin grips the arms of his seat as the stone beneath him shudders. What is this? He demands. Balin's face goes gray. Dragon, he whispers. He moves. In his secret chamber, Smaug stretches his wings. The space is too small. He bursts upward, smashing through stone, sending boulders crashing into tunnels and galleries. Dwarves scatter, shouting, as a river of rock and dust pours through the halls. Take cover, someone cries. Too late. Smaug erupts into the great hall like a volcano, stone and fire exploding around him. Dwarves are flung like dolls. The great ballistae, carefully aimed at the main gate, are pointed the wrong way. Their crews scramble, coughing, eyes streaming. Thorin staggers to his feet, Arkenstone blazing at his throat. You come back, worm? He shouts, defiance and madness mingled. You dare! Smaug's head whips toward him. For a heartbeat, dragon and dwarf regard one another. Then Smaug does something no one expects. He speaks a single word. Later, he beats his wings and launches himself toward the broken gate, ignoring the dwarven arrows that ping harmlessly off his scales. He does not waste breath on fire. He does not linger to gloat. He has a date with a city. Thorin stands amid the dust and falling stones, chest heaving, eyes wild. He feels in that moment more insulted than relieved. The dragon did not even deem him worth killing. In Lake Town, Bane looks up as a shadow passes over the sun. He feels for a moment as if he is a child again, standing on a collapsing tower, watching fire descend. He grabs his bow. Take cover, he shouts, voice cracking. But Smaug does not stoop. He does not even look down. He flies south, a streak of red and gold, his passage shaking the air. In Mirkwood, elven archers take aim as the dragon passes overhead. Thranduil stands on a high platform, his hand on the hilt of his sword, his jaw tight. Loose? A captain asks. Thranduil watches Smaug's trajectory. He sees that the dragon is not hunting in the forest. He is bound for lands beyond. Hold, the Elven King says, each word costing him. We will not draw his eye if we need not. The arrows lower. Smaug flies on. Gandalf, riding hard toward Gondor with tidings of Sauron's movement, looks up as a shadow sweeps over the road. His heart stutters. He sees the dragon. He sees the direction. Oh no, he breathes. He digs his heels into Shadowfax's flanks. Hurry, he says. We must be swifter than the wind. They are not. In Minas Tirith, the bells toll. Denethor stands upon the walls, the wind tugging at his black cloak, his hair streaked with early gray. His eyes are sharp, his face lined with worry and pride. He has seen the shadow growing in the east. He has lit beacons. He has sent for aid. He has looked into the Palantir and seen things that gnaw at his sanity. He has not seen this. The cry goes up from the lower circles first, a rising wail that climbs the tiers of the city like a tide. Dragon! Dragon! Denethor's hands clench on the stone. He looks east toward Mordor, expecting some new horror from that quarter. Instead, the cry turns south. He turns. Over the mountains of Lebanon, a shape rises. It grows. It gleams. Fire flickers in the cloud that clings to its wings. Denethor feels, for the first time since he was a boy, something like pure, uncut fear. Archers to the walls, he shouts. Man the engines. Sound the alarm in every circle. Faramir, with me. Beside him, his younger son, dark-haired and grave, runs to his side, bow already in hand. Boromir is away in the north, riding to Imladris in search of answers to a dream. Denethor curses that absence now. Father, Faramir says, voice steady despite the growing roar in the air. What is it? Denethor's mouth is dry. Fire, he answers. Smaug sees the white city long before its people see him. It rises from the plain like a ship of stone, its 7 walls climbing the hill, its tower a spike of white. The river gleams nearby. The fields of Pelennor are green, dotted with farms and small villages. He smells wheat, cattle, human sweat. He smells gold. He feels something like joy. He roars. The sound rolls over the fields, sending flocks of birds shrieking into the air. Farmers drop tools and look up, faces whitening. Children scream, dogs howl. The gates of Minas Tirith slam shut. On the walls, archers scramble, their hands shaking as they nock arrows. The great engines of war creak as men haul on ropes, swinging them toward the oncoming threat. Smaug circles once, high and wide, taking in the lay of the land. He sees the Ramas Ekor, the outer wall of the Pelennor, its gates open, its towers sparsely manned. Gondor has grown complacent in some ways. They have not expected a threat from the sky. He will teach them the error of that. He folds his wings and dives. The first volley of arrows rises from the fields, a ragged swarm loosed by terrified men-at-arms. They patter off his scales like rain. A few strike the membranes of his wings, stinging, but not enough to slow him. He opens his jaws. Fire falls on the Ramas. Stone explodes. Mortar melts. Men become shadows painted on the walls before they are ash. The great gates sag and blacken. Horses scream as their flesh sloughs from bone. Smaug pulls up, laughing. The outer wall is breached. He could fly straight to the White City now, but he's in no hurry. He will savor this. He wheels over the fields, his shadow racing over farmhouses and vineyards. On one small farm, a boy named Burgle, no more than 10, stands frozen in a field of wheat, his sickle dropping from numb fingers as the dragon passes overhead. His father tackles him, driving him into the dirt, covering his body with his own. They feel the heat like an oven door opening. The wheat catches. Fire races through the fields. Smaug sweeps low, his claws tearing the roofs from cottages. He breathes on a cluster of houses, and they vanish in a blossom of flame. Men run, some toward the city, some toward wells, some simply in circles, their minds broken. On the walls of Minas Tirith, Faramir watches in horror. "We must sally," he says. "We must get the people inside." "We will not open the gates," Denethor snaps. "To do so is to invite that," he points at the dragon, "into the very heart of the city." "They will die," Faramir says, voice tight. Denethor's jaw clenches. "They are dying already," he answers. "Our duty is to Gondor, to the city, to the line of stewards. If Minas Tirith falls, all falls. We cannot risk it for a few farms." Faramir closes his eyes for the space of a breath. "More than a few," he says softly. Smaug hears none of this. He is lost in the joy of destruction. He has burned towns before. He has burned halls. But never a land so rich, so soft, so unprepared. He makes 3 passes over the Pelennor, each time leaving more fire, more ruin. The green fields become a patchwork of black and orange. The air fills with smoke and the stink of burning flesh. Then, at last, he turns his attention to the city itself. He approaches from the south, where the walls are highest, the cliffs steep. The men on the battlements draw their bows, their faces slick with sweat, their mouths dry. Smaug slows, hovering for a moment, his wings beating great gusts of hot wind that send cloaks snapping and banners tearing. He looks at the white city. He sees the carvings, the statues, the proud towers. He sees the citadel, high above where a dead tree stands. He feels for a heartbeat something like respect. This is a worthy foe. This is what men build when they forget their place, he murmurs to himself. Let them remember. He opens his jaws. Fire pours forth, a torrent that slams into the upper walls. Stone blackens, cracks, chips away. Men scream as the heat sears their skin even through armor. Shields glow red, then white. The first line of defenders breaks. Smaug sweeps along the curve of the wall, his breath a scythe. Towers crumble. Bells melt and fall in streams of molten bronze. In the citadel, Denethor feels the stone tremble. He staggers, catching himself on the arm of his chair. "The upper circles are under attack," a captain gasps, rushing in, his hair singed, his face blackened. "The dragon! I can see that, Denethor snaps, though his own eyes are wide. Get the engines repositioned, aim for the wings, the eyes, anything soft, douse the roofs, clear the cisterns. We will not let this beast burn us out like rats. He does not yet think of calling for aid. He does not yet think of Rohan. He thinks only of holding. On the lower levels, panic spreads. People jam the streets trying to flee upward, away from the flames that lick at the walls. Mothers clutch children, old men stumble. The sound is a cacophony of screams, shouts, the clash of metal, the crackle of fire. In one narrow alley, a young woman named Ioreth, who will one day chatter in the houses of healing, drags an injured neighbor toward a doorway as embers rain down. "Keep low," she shouts. "Cover your mouth. Wet cloths, quickly." She has never seen a dragon, but she has seen house fires. She falls back on what she knows. Smaug makes another pass, lower this time. He tears at the battlements with his claws, ripping chunks of stone free and flinging them inward. A tower topples, crushing a row of houses. Fire follows, pouring into the breach. An engine of war, hastily swung to face him, loses a great spear of iron. It strikes his flank. It pierces a scale. Smaug roars, more in fury than pain. The spear does not go deep, but it bites. Blood, hot and black, spatters the wall. On the battlements, the men who fired the engine stare in shock. "We hit him," one whispers. Smaug's head whips toward them. He sees their faces. He sees their hope. He hates it. He lunges, jaws closing on the parapet. Stone shatters between his teeth. Men vanish, torn apart, flung into the air like broken dolls. He breathes into the breach. The engine melts. The men melt. He pulls back, the taste of stone and flesh in his mouth, and laughs. "This is your strength?" he bellows, his voice rolling over the city. "This is Gondor? This is the pride of men?" His words are not in the common tongue, but in the old speech of dragons. The men do not understand the meaning, but they understand the contempt. Faramir, on the wall near the citadel, looses arrow after arrow, aiming for the eyes, the mouth, the joints. His arms ache. His fingers bleed. The arrows bounce, burn, shatter. He feels helpless. He hates it. "Father," he gasps between shots, "we cannot hold like this. We must call for aid. Rohan." "Rohan is days away," Denethor snaps, his own bow in hand, though he is not yet loosed. "By the time they come, we will be ash, or we will have driven this beast off ourselves. There is no point in begging for help that cannot come." He believes this. He also fears to show weakness. Far away in Edoras, Theoden King sits under the shadow of Wormtongue's whisper. He has not yet been freed by Gandalf. His eyes are dull, his shoulders slump. He does not see the red smear on the southern horizon. He does not hear the distant roar. Rohan will not ride, not yet. In Mordor, Sauron watches. He does not see through Smaug's eyes, but he feels the dragon's joy, his fury, his pain when the spear bites. He feels the fear in Minas Tirith, like a flavor on the wind. He is pleased. He has unleashed one terror. Others will follow. He has not yet moved his armies. He is probing, testing. He wants to see how Gondor responds to a single dragon before he commits orcs and men and beasts. He is, in his own way, cautious. In Orthanc, Saruman grinds his teeth. He sees the same thing in his own Palantir. He sees Smaug burning Minas Tirith, and he feels a surge of envy so sharp it is almost physical. That could have been his, if he had moved sooner, if he had reached out to the dragon with honeyed words, if he had lured Smaug to Isengard, promised him gold from the west, from the Shire, from Rohan. Now Sauron has the beast. Saruman's path narrows. He turns his thoughts more fully to a different weapon, the breeding of Uruk-hai, the forging of engines, the corruption of men. In Imladris, Elrond hears the distant echo of Smaug's roar, carried on some strange wind. He looks east, his heart heavy. "Dragons," he murmurs, as if one shadow were not enough. Arwen, standing beside him, her face pale, takes his hand. "What will become of men?" she asks softly. Elrond does not answer. He does not know. In the Shire, Bilbo sits in his study, quill in hand, writing the history of his journey. He pauses, the feather hovering over the parchment, as a shiver runs down his spine. He thinks of Smaug. He has heard no news from the south. The Shire is insulated, wrapped in its own concerns. The dragon is a story already fading into legend in the green dragon's smoke-filled corners. Bilbo's hand strays to his pocket. to the ring. He feels for a moment the weight of something vast and terrible moving in the world beyond his hills. He dips his quill and writes on. In Minas Tirith, the day becomes a nightmare of fire. Smaug makes pass after pass, each time choosing a new target. He burns the houses of lore, ancient scrolls curling into ash. He melts the great gate of the citadel, though the inner doors hold. He tears at the tower of Icthelion, chipping away at its base. He is not unscathed. Arrows and spears find their mark here and there. A lucky shot takes the tip of one wing, shredding the membrane. He roars in pain, banking awkwardly, nearly colliding with a tower. He pulls away, panting, blood dripping. He lands for the first time on the broad expanse of the sixth circle, crushing a row of houses under his weight. Stone cracks. People scream and flee, stumbling, some falling under his claws. He rests for a moment, sides heaving, smoke pouring from his nostrils. He's not used to such sustained exertion. The years of sleep under Erebor have left him powerful, but not inexhaustible. He looks up at the citadel, so close now. He could, with one more great effort, reach it, tear it open, burn the steward on his chair. He gathers himself. In that moment, a single arrow arcs from a nearby rooftop. It is not black. It is not enchanted. It is fletched with goose feathers and shot from a common bow by a common man, a guardsman whose name history will not record. It strikes Smaug in the wounded wing. The pain is white. He roars, reflexively snapping his head toward the source. He sees the man, his face set, his hands already reaching for another arrow. Smaug's vision goes red. He lunges. He crushes the rooftop, the man, the house beneath. He tears and burns and smashes until the sixth circle is a chaos of rubble and fire. He forgets the citadel for a time. He forgets strategy. He remembers only insult and the need to answer it. On the wall above, Faramir watches, horror and a strange, bitter admiration warring in his chest. This is what we face, he says softly. Not orcs, not men, not even the Nazgul. How can we stand against this, Father? Denethor's eyes are fixed on the dragon. His knuckles are white on the stone. We stand, he says, until we fall. There is nothing else. He does not show his son the trembling in his hands. Night falls. Smaug withdraws at last from the immediate assault. He rises above the city, circling, his breath coming in ragged gusts. His scales are scorched in places. His wing bleeds. He is not defeated, but he is not unscathed. He could press the attack. He could burn until Minas Tirith is a shell. But the men have fought harder than he expected. Their engines have stung him. Their arrows have found flesh. The city has not broken. He is tired. He is, though he will not admit it, wary of pushing too far, of risking a wound that might kill him. He circles once more, roaring his defiance, his promise to return. Then he turns east toward Mordor. He will rest. He will heal. He will plan. Below, the White City smolders. Hundreds are dead. Whole districts are in ruins. The Pelennor is a sea of ash, but the walls still stand. The Tower of Icthelion still rises. The white tree, though scorched by falling embers, still clings to its dead branches. In the houses of healing, Ioreth works until her hands are raw, binding burns, washing smoke from lungs, soothing the dying. She mutters prayers to any power that might listen. In the citadel, Denethor sits in his chair, his face hollow. He has seen his city nearly broken by a single dragon. He has felt his own helplessness. He feels now the pull of the Palantir more strongly than ever. He must know. He must see. He must understand what else moves in the dark. He descends to the secret chamber where the Seeing Stone lies. He does not yet know that this decision will be his undoing. In Mordor, Smaug lands on the ashen plain before Barad-dûr. The ground trembles. Orcs scatter, shrieking, some falling to their knees in instinctive worship. The heat from his body makes the very air shimmer. He looks up at the dark tower. It rises above him, black and cruel, its crown of iron thorns stabbing at the low, roiling clouds. High above, a single window gapes, and within it, a great eye of fire turns. Smaug feels that gaze fall upon him. He feels it like a weight, like a hand, like a challenge. He bares his teeth. "I have done as you asked," he says aloud, his voice echoing off the black stone. "I have burned their fields. I have broken their walls. I have shown them fear. The eye narrows. You have tested them, Sauron replies, his voice not in the air but in Smaug's mind. You have shown me their mettle. They are stubborn. They will not fall easily. Good. It will make their breaking sweeter. Smaug snorts. I am not your scout, he says. I am destruction. And you have destroyed, Sauron answers. Rest now. Heal. When my armies march, you will fly with them. You will break their last hope. You will burn their last refuge. Smaug looks around at the plain of Gorgoroth, at the slag heaps, at the rivers of lava, at the endless ranks of orcs drilling with spears and swords. He smells iron and blood and ash. He feels at home. He coils himself near the base of the Dark Tower, not in supplication, but in a kind of wary alliance. Orcs scuttle to bring him meat, great wagons of carcasses dragged by trolls. He eats, tearing flesh and bone, feeling strength return. Above him, the eye watches. In Orthanc, Saruman sees the dragon at Sauron's feet and feels something inside him break. He cannot compete with that. He turns his full cunning to another path, the Shire, the Ring, the slow, subtle corruption of the West. In Erebor, Thorin stands on his balcony, looking south. He has felt the tremors of Smaug's departure. He has seen the dragon's trail of smoke on the horizon. He has heard, weeks later, the rumors brought by traders and refugees of a dragon at Minas Tirith, of fields burned, of a city wounded but unbroken. He feels a complex tangle of emotions, relief that the dragon is far, resentment that Smaug did not deem Erebor worth destroying, envy, even, that another city has faced the dragon and lived. He grips the Arkenstone. We will not be second to Gondor, he mutters. We will not cower while men win glory. He begins to plan, not for alliance, for independence, for a war that is not yet at his door. In Minas Tirith, the people bury their dead. They rebuild what they can. They look to the east with new fear. They know now that Mordor holds more than orcs. They know that the sky itself can bring death. Denethor, his mind already fraying from the Palantir's visions, sees Smaug coiled at Barad-dûr, sees the dragon's shadow over his city, and feels a despair deeper than any he has yet known. How can we stand, he whispers, alone in the dark chamber. The stone does not answer. Time moves. Boromir reaches Imladris. The council is held. The ring's fate is debated. The shadow of Smaug lies over every word, though he is not present. When Boromir speaks of Gondor's need, of the city that has stood against the shadow, there is a new edge to his voice. We have faced a dragon, he says. We have seen fire fall from the sky. We have bled. And still we stand. Do not speak to me of the courage of the north, of elves and rangers who fight in secret. Gondor stands in the open, under the eye, and under the wings of that beast. Aragorn listens, his jaw tight. He has heard of Smaug's attack. He has ridden through villages of blackened stone, through fields that still bear the scars. He has seen the fear in the eyes of peasants when any shadow passes overhead. He knows that when he claims his birthright, if he ever does, it will not be a simple matter of banners and oaths. He will inherit a city that has been burned. He will inherit a people who have seen dragons. Gandalf at the council speaks less of Smaug than he might. The dragon is a terror, yes, but he is not the core of the problem. The ring is. Still, in his mind, the two are linked. If Sauron regains the ring, with Smaug at his side, there will be no hope. The fellowship is formed. They set out, small against the vastness of the world, carrying a burden that seems heavier with every step. Smaug does not know of them. He cares nothing for hobbits and their trinkets. He cares for gold and fire and fear. Yet their paths will cross in a way, for the dragon's presence shapes the war they walk into. When the fellowship reaches Lothlorien, Galadriel looks into her mirror and sees many things. Orcs, battles, a small figure by a great eye. She also sees a dragon's shadow over Minas Tirith. She feels the heat of his breath on her face. She closes her eyes. The world is changing, she says softly. The old terrors return. New ones rise. All our choices grow heavier. When they reach Rohan, they find a kingdom slower to stir than in the other tale. Theoden is still under Saruman's spell. Gandalf frees him, but the weight of Smaug's attack on Gondor lies like a stone on the king's heart. If Minas Tirith could not stand against a single dragon, he says, his voice hoarse, How can we stand against the full might of Mordor, against orcs and men and beasts and that fire in the sky? By standing together, Aragorn answers, by riding to one another's aid, by being more than we were. Theoden looks at him, eyes haunted. He nods. He will ride. But in his heart, doubt lingers. At Helm's Deep, the battle unfolds much as it did in the other tale. Saruman's Uruk-hai crash against the walls, the rain falls, the Hornburg shakes. Smaug is not there. He is in Mordor, resting, waiting. He has flown once for Sauron. He will fly again when the Dark Lord commands. He is not a hound, he tells himself. He is a storm. Storms choose when to break. Yet when the summons comes, he feels it. Sauron's will presses against his, not as a chain, but as a call. The time has come, the Dark Lord says. My armies march. The ring-bearer comes whether he knows it or not. The last moves are upon the board. Fly, Smaug, break their hope. Smaug rises. He is healed. His wing bears a scar, but it is strong. His scales are darker in places where fire has scorched them, but they are no less hard. He is ready. He launches himself from Gorgoroth, his wings beating great gusts of ash into the air. Below, the armies of Mordor surge toward the Black Gate, a black tide of steel and flesh. Trolls lumber, catapults creak, the Nazgul wheel overhead on their fell beasts. Smaug joins them. For a moment, the ring-wraiths shy away, their mounts shrieking. They are jealous of the sky. They have not shared it in long years. Sauron's will lashes them. Obey, he commands. He is mine. The Nazgul fall in beside the dragon, their black cloaks whipping in the wind. Smaug feels their cold like knives against his heat. He ignores them. He looks west. He sees in the far distance the White City, still scarred, still standing. He smiles. In Minas Tirith, the beacons blaze again. Gondor calls for aid. Rohan answers. The riders gather. Theoden gives his speech, his voice carrying over the ranks. The sun rises behind them. They ride. They do not know that the sky itself will turn against them. On the Pelennor fields, the battle begins. The Rohirrim crash into the orcs, their spears lowered, their voices raised. The ground shakes. The first ranks of Sauron's army buckle. Hope flares. Éowyn rides, disguised, her heart pounding, her eyes fixed on the Witch King's banner. Merry clings to her waist, small and determined. In the city, Denethor descends into madness. He tries to burn himself and his son. Gandalf intervenes. Faramir is saved. Denethor dies in flame, his last sight perhaps the dragon he fears. Above, the Nazgul scream. They dive, harrying the riders, their fear a weapon. Then, a new sound rolls over the field, a roar deeper than any fell beast's, filled with fire and hunger and a terrible joy. Heads turn, eyes lift. Smaug descends. He falls upon the flank of the Rohirrim like a hammer. Fire washes over green cloaks and shining helms. Horses rear, screaming, their manes catching. Men die before they can cry out, their bodies blackening in an instant. The charge falters. Theoden's horse, Snowmane, panics, rearing as a wave of heat slams into him. The king is thrown. He hits the ground hard, the wind knocked from him. In the other tale, it is the Witch King who comes for him. Here, it is fire. Smaug sweeps his head, his jaws closing on a knot of riders. He flings them aside, broken. He laughs, the sound booming over the chaos. "This is your aid?" he roars. "These are your horse lords? See how they burn." The Witch King, enraged, wheels his mount, his crown of iron glinting. "This prey is mine," he hisses, his voice a blade. Smaug turns one golden eye toward him. "Fight your own battles, Wraith," he growls. "There's enough death for all." He does not care whose kill is whose. He cares only that they die. Éowyn, thrown by her horse, scrambles to her feet, her helm askew. She sees the dragon, her breath catching. She has heard tales of Smaug since she was a child. She never thought to see him. She has also heard the prophecy that no living man may hinder the Witch King. She looks up and sees the Lord of the Nazgul, descending toward Theoden, his fell beast shrieking, its talons reaching. Smaug's shadow passes over them both. In this chaos, choices become knives. Éowyn can face the Witch King, as she was meant to, as prophecy demands, or she can turn her blade on the dragon that is burning her people. She hesitates for a heartbeat. Then she makes her choice. She runs toward the Witch King. Some fates are too strong to be diverted. She stands before him. She declares that she is no man. Mary strikes. The Witch King falls, his scream tearing the sky. Smaug feels it. He glances over and sees the wraith's form dissolve, his crown falling, his cloak collapsing. He feels faintly Sauron's irritation. He does not care. He has his own prey. He turns back to the Rohirrim, to the Gondorian reinforcements now pouring from the gates, to the chaos of battle. He breathes. The Pelennor becomes a charnel field. Gandalf, riding Shadowfax, looks up at the dragon and feels despair claw at his heart. He had hoped that Smaug would stay in the north, that his alliance with Sauron would remain potential, not realized. He was wrong. He raises his staff. "Back, you worm!" he shouts, his voice ringing with power. "Away!" Light bursts from the staff, a white flare that strikes Smaug in the eyes. The dragon roars, rearing back, momentarily blinded. His next blast of fire goes wide, washing over a section of the Rammus already in ruins. Gandalf presses the attack, sending bolt after bolt of light at the dragon's head, his chest, his wings. Smaug snarls. He feels the sting, the push of a will that is not his own. He feels for a moment the old fear of wizards, of those who meddle with fire and shadow. He dives at Gandalf. Shadowfax leaps aside at the last moment, hooves skidding in the churned earth. Smaug's claws gouge great furrows where the horse stood. Gandalf is thrown. He rolls, coming up on one knee, staff raised. Smaug inhales. A small figure slams into his side, not physically, not with a sword, with a stone. Pippin Took in the city above has found himself in the tower courtyard, watching in horror as the dragon dives at the white rider he has come to love. He has no great weapon, he has no magic. He has only a stone, smooth and round, that his hand closes around without thinking. He throws it. It arcs, small and pathetic against the scale of the battle. It strikes Smaug on the snout. It does no damage, but it distracts. Smaug's head jerks, his aim spoiled. His fire washes over empty ground, searing earth instead of wizard. He turns his gaze upward toward the city, toward the tiny figure on the wall. He sees a hobbit. He has never seen one before, not clearly. He saw Bilbo only as a blur, a scent, a voice. Now he sees Pippin, small, wide-eyed, defiant. He feels a flicker of recognition, not of the individual, of the type. The small, the unexpected, the ones who creep into lairs and steal from under his nose. He hates them. He beats his wings, rising toward the wall. Gandalf shouts, his voice hoarse. "Run, Peregrine!" Pippin runs. Smaug's claws rake the battlements, stone exploding. Men are flung like leaves. Pippin dives, the heat licking at his heels. He survives by inches. Smaug roars in frustration. The battle rages. It is, in many ways, worse than in the other tale. The dragon's presence turns every retreat into a rout, every rally into a slaughter. The Rohirrim lose more than half their number in the first hour. Gondor's walls crack and crumble under repeated blasts of fire. Yet men do not break entirely. They cling to pockets of resistance. They fight in alleys and courtyards where Smaug cannot easily reach. They shoot from windows and rooftops. They douse fires with whatever water they can find. They are stubborn. Smaug respects that, in a way. It makes their deaths more satisfying. In Mordor, on the slopes of Mount Doom, Frodo and Sam struggle upward. They have not seen the dragon. They have felt the heat. But in Mordor, heat is everywhere. They do not know that a fire of a different sort burns over the city they hope to save. They do not know that their success or failure will determine whether Smaug's laughter echoes over a world in chains or over a world that resists to its last breath. Gollum follows. The ring hangs heavy. At the Black Gate, Aragorn leads a smaller host than in the other tale. Rohan has bled more. Gondor has fewer men to spare. The dragon's attack has left scars that will not heal quickly. Still, they march. They stand before the might of Mordor, banners snapping in the foul wind. The mouth of Sauron comes. He shows them Frodo's gear. He lies. Despair threatens. Then, the battle is joined. Smaug is not at the Black Gate. Sauron has kept him at Minas Tirith to ensure the city's fall. He miscalculates. For all the dragon's fire, for all the terror he brings, the men of Gondor and Rohan do not yield the city entirely. They fight in the streets. They pull back to the citadel. They hold. Smaug burns and burns, but the stone is stubborn. He is, in a way, a victim of his own earlier success. The first attack weakened the city, yes. It also hardened it. The people of Minas Tirith have lived for months, for years now, under the memory of dragon fire. They have drilled, they have prepared, they have cleared fire breaks, stockpiled water, reinforced cellars. They know how to survive flame. They do not know how to survive the end of all things. That is what Frodo and Sam decide. On the slopes of Orodruin, the ring claims Frodo. He stands at the edge of the crack of doom, the fire below reflecting in his wide eyes. He slips the ring onto his finger. He vanishes. Sauron feels it. His eye swivels. For a moment, all his will, all his attention, all his malice focuses on that one small point. He forgets Smaug. He forgets Minas Tirith. He forgets the Black Gate. He reaches for the ring. Gollum bites. He falls. The ring falls. It melts. Barad-dûr trembles. In Mordor, the ground splits. Towers topple. The eye flares, then implodes. Sauron's will shatters. Every creature bound to him feels it. The Nazgûl scream and are gone, their mounts tumbling from the sky like burning leaves. Orcs wail as their minds, long held in a grip of iron, suddenly find themselves free and empty. Many fall where they stand, clawing at their heads. Smaug, high above Minas Tirith, feels a wrench. The thread that connected him to Sauron, that subtle pull, that whisper of command, snaps. He staggers in the air, his wings faltering. He feels for a heartbeat, something he has not felt since he was very young. Alone. He recovers. He hovers over the battered city, his sides heaving, smoke trailing from his jaws. Below, men look up, panting, bloodied, exhausted. They see the dragon. They do not know that the Dark Lord has fallen. They know only that death still circles overhead. Smaug looks east. He sees in the far distance the dark plume rising from Mount Doom, the collapse of the Black Gate's towers, the confusion in the ranks of Mordor's army. He does not fully understand what has happened. He knows only that the great presence that once watched him is gone. He is free. He looks down. He sees a city that has defied him twice. He sees men who still, even now, lift bows and spears, their hands shaking, their faces set. He feels a surge of rage. How dare they still stand? How dare they still hope? He could leave. He could fly north to Erebor to settle old scores. He could fly east to Rhûn to carve out a kingdom among men who have never seen his like. He could vanish into the wilds and let the world sort itself. He does not. He is Smaug. He does not run from defiance. He destroys it. He inhales. In the courtyard of the citadel, Aragorn stands, his sword at his side, his face streaked with soot and blood. He has returned from the Black Gate, carried back by eagles or by fate, depending on the telling. He has seen the Dark Tower fall in the distance. He has felt the shift in the world. He looks up at the dragon. He knows in that moment that this is his test, not the crown, not the line of kings, not the healing of the land. This, standing before fire with nothing but steel and will. Gandalf stands beside him, his staff broken, his face lined with exhaustion. "Go," the wizard says softly. "If you fall, we fall with you. But if you stand," Aragorn nods. He steps forward. He walks out onto the highest rampart, where the stone is still warm from earlier blasts. The wind tugs at his hair. His cloak snaps. He raises Andúril. "Smaug," he shouts, his voice carrying over the city. "Smaug the Golden, Worm of the North, hear me!" The dragon's head turns. He sees a man standing alone on the wall, a shard of light in his hand. He laughs. "You would challenge me, little king?" he calls down. "You with your scrap of steel and your broken walls?" "I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn," the man answers, "heir of Isildur. And I say to you, this city will not fall to you, not while I live." Smaug snorts. "Then you will not live long." He dives. Aragorn stands his ground. The world narrows to the oncoming maw, the glow of fire in the dragon's throat, the rush of wind. He waits. He waits until he can see the individual scales, the veins in the wings, the slit of the golden eye. Then he moves. He leaps sideways onto a narrow spur of stone, Andúril flashing. Smaug's jaws snap shut where he stood, stone exploding. Aragorn slashes at the dragon's face. The blade bites. It shears through a scale at the corner of Smaug's jaw, cutting deep into flesh. Blood sprays, hot and black. Smaug roars, jerking his head back. Pain flares, bright and shocking. He has been wounded before, but rarely by so small a foe. He wheels, his tail lashing. It catches the spur of stone. It catches Aragorn. The man is flung backward, his body slamming into a parapet. He crumples, breath driven from his lungs, bones protesting. He does not fall. He drags himself to his knees, vision swimming. Smaug hovers, his wounded jaw dripping. He glares at the man. "Stubborn," he growls, "like all your kind." He inhales. An arrow strikes his wounded jaw. It is not a black arrow. It is not enchanted. It is loosed by Faramir, standing on a lower wall, his bow steady despite the chaos. It hits the raw flesh where Anduril cut. Pain explodes. Smaug's fire bursts from his mouth in an uncontrolled blast, angling upward, missing the wall entirely. It scorches the sky, a pillar of flame. He coughs, choking. Smoke pours from his nostrils. He feels something tear in his throat. He roars, hoarse now. Below, men cheer. It is a small wound. It is not mortal, but it is proof. Proof that the dragon can bleed. Proof that he is not invincible. Smaug feels something he has not felt since Bard's arrow glanced from his breast. Fear. It is small. It is buried under layers of pride and rage, but it is there. He looks at the city, at the men on the walls, at the king with the shining sword, at the archer with the steady hand, at the wizard with the broken staff, at the hobbit peeking over a battlement, eyes wide. He thinks of the eye that once watched him, now gone. He thinks of a world in which he is the last great fire, the last terror of the old days. He could die here. He could kill them all, perhaps, and die in the doing, or he could live. He could choose his own path. He snarls. "This is not over," he hisses. He beats his wings. He rises. Arrows follow him, a futile swarm. He ignores them. He climbs higher and higher until the city is a white smudge below, the fire's mere sparks. He turns north. He flies. In Minas Tirith, men sag with exhaustion. They do not cheer. They are too spent. They watch the dragon go and feel a mix of relief and dread. He is gone. He is not dead. Aragorn leans on Anduril, his chest heaving, his ribs aching. "He will return," he says softly. Gandalf nods. "Yes," he answers, "but not today." The war is over. Sauron is gone. The ring is destroyed. The age of men begins, but it begins under the shadow of a dragon that still lives. In Erebor, Thorin hears of Smaug's retreat. He hears that the dragon flew north, past the ruins of Osgiliath, over the Brownlands, over Mirkwood. He feels a chill. He orders the forges to burn hotter. He orders more engines built. He sharpens his axe. In the Shire, Sam Gamgee stands in his garden, looking up at a sky that is, for the moment, peaceful. He has heard tales of the dragon's attack on Minas Tirith from Pippin and Merry. He has seen the scars on their faces when they speak of fire. He looks at his own home, at the green hills, at the party tree. He wonders for a moment what it would be like if a shadow passed over this place, if fire fell on Hobbiton. He shudders. He goes back to his planting. He will make this small corner of the world as beautiful as he can, for as long as he can. In Mordor, the ruins of Barad-dûr smoke. Smaug circles once, high above, looking down at the broken tower. He feels no sorrow. He feels no triumph. He feels only a strange emptiness. The Dark Lord who once promised him the world is gone. The world remains. It is, in many ways, more interesting now. There are no great wills to bow to, only small ones, scattered, stubborn, defiant. He could rule, he could burn, he could vanish. He turns his head toward the north, toward Erebor, toward the mountain that was once his bed and is now another's throne. He smiles, a long, slow, terrible smile. "There is time," he murmurs. He banks his wings. He flies. On the slopes of the lonely mountain, snow falls, soft and silent. Dwarves move through the courtyards, their breath steaming, their hammers ringing. The forges glow. Above them, high in the gray sky, a speck appears. It grows. It gleams. A horn sounds long and low. Thorin Oakenshield steps out onto his balcony, the Arkenstone blazing at his throat, his axe in his hand. He looks up. He sees a dragon coming home. Far away, in Minas Tirith, in the Houses of Healing, a child wakes from a nightmare of fire and wings and cries out. Ioreth soothes him, humming an old song. In the Shire, Frodo sits by his window, staring at a sky that is too wide, too empty. He touches the scars on his shoulder and his heart. He feels sometimes as if a shadow passes over the sun, though there's nothing there. In Fangorn, Treebeard sighs. The world is changing, he rumbles. Whom? We may live to see dragons again. In the west, where the sea meets the sky, a ship waits. Bilbo stands on its deck, older, smaller, his eyes still bright. He looks back at Middle-earth. He thinks of a mountain of gold. He thinks of a dragon's laugh. He wonders, briefly, what will become of that beast in a world without Sauron. He wonders if Smaug will grow bored. He wonders if he will grow wise. He doubts it. The ship turns. The world of Middle-earth grows smaller behind him. On the lonely mountain, the wind howls. Smaug circles once, twice, his shadow sweeping over the snow like a stain. He does not dive, not yet. He hovers, tasting the air, feeling the thrum of dwarven hearts beneath the stone. He could burn now. He could end Thorin's line, reclaim his hoard, sleep again. He feels unexpectedly a flicker of something almost like curiosity. Men have changed, dwarves have hardened, elves have retreated, wizards have sailed, the Dark Lord is gone. What does a dragon do in a world where there's no master to defy, no Sauron to ally with or betray? He laughs, low and soft. He turns away. He flies north into the empty wastes. He will watch, he will wait, he will choose his own time. Below, in Erebor, Thorin stands on his balcony long after the dragon's shadow has vanished, his axe heavy in his hand, his heart heavier. He knows that this reprieve is not mercy. It is whim. He knows that his kingdom stands, not because it is strong, but because a dragon has decided, for now, to let it. He feels for the first time the true weight of that. In Minas Tirith, Aragorn sits upon his throne. He wears a crown, he bears scars. He rules a city that has been burned, rebuilt, burned again, and still stands. He knows that somewhere in the north, a dragon flies. He knows that his children will grow up under a sky that may, at any moment, darken with wings. He resolves that they will not grow up in fear. He orders the building of new engines, of new walls, of new towers. He sends messengers to Erebor, to Dale, to Mirkwood. He speaks of alliance, of shared defense, of a world where men and dwarves and elves stand together not only against dark lords, but against the old fires that still burn. Some listen, some do not. The age of men is not an age of peace. It is an age of choices. On a cold, clear night, many years later, a shepherd in the far north looks up from his fire and sees a streak of red cross the stars. He pulls his cloak tighter. He tells his grandchildren later that he saw a dragon. They laugh. They think he is telling stories. The world moves on. Wars are fought. Kings rise and fall. Forests grow and are cut. Cities crumble and are built anew. Somewhere, in a cave of his own making, in a mountain no map names, Smaug lies upon a hoard of his own gathering, smaller than Erebor's, but sufficient. He sleeps. He dreams of fire. He dreams of white walls. He dreams of a small figure on a high rampart, a sword flashing, an arrow striking. He dreams of a world that dared to defy him. His claws twitch, his tail curls. Outside, the wind howls over empty stone. The age of dragons is past, but not ended. In the darkness, Smaug's eye opens, a single golden ember in the night. He listens to a world that has almost forgotten him. He smiles. And then, slowly, he closes his eye again, as if he has all the time in the world to decide whether he will let it forget.